Welcome to Quantum Quest Conversations. I'm your host, Megan,
And I'm your host, Haydee.
the podcast where curious conversations lead the way into awakening, growth, and infant discovery.
Well, hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of Quantum Quest Conversations with Meghan and Haydee. Today, we're going to talk about misconceptions in modern spirituality. This includes a lot of things that we're going to talk about with Meghan, but I hope that you learned something about, we hope that you learned something about this. And here we go.
Hi, yes, I'm excited to talk about this topic because I do feel like we get some comments from our audience and questions that they want like a deeper explanation about some of the things that we talk about. So I know that some of our audience, you guys that are listening right now, are not familiar with spirituality, and honestly, I wasn't either. I was raised and born Catholic. I absolutely loved it. When I was sensing spirit around me and I had to start diving into what does all this mean, I started learning about spirituality and what all this means. So some of the misconceptions or things that people I know have asked is sometimes when we refer to God, we will say, God, the universe, true white light, and, why do we say that? Do we not believe in God? And different questions kind of arise from that. So we could kind of start off with that topic, but my perspective of why we say that is because we don't want to leave anybody's beliefs out. To me, it's all the same, honestly. um, and that is what I've learned on this journey. I know growing up, it's always been kind of crazy to me that, especially, I was blessed enough to be around different cultures. I worked for a Thai restaurant, and there was people from all over, and I got to go to weddings, funerals, different celebrations, and it just really opened my eyes that there's no way, that my God is the only God. Like it just didn't make sense in my eyes. I've always believed that there was a piece of the puzzle that was missing. So once I kind of learned more about spirituality, um, and like feeling it, seeing it, getting messages firsthand, I know that it's all the same. It really is all the same. So we do like to respect everyone's beliefs and, mention God, universe, true white light. I've heard people say just joy. There's all different kind of names that you can call it, but at the end of the day, it's just one thing. What's your take on it, Heidi?
Well, to me, if I could give it a name, though, well, not for me to name it, but if I could call my creator one name, it would be I am,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is what it was in the Bible when he presented himself. He said, I am. And that covers everything, really. It doesn't have to have a specific name, Jehovah, God, Buddha. Like it really doesn't, because it's the same creator for everybody under different religious umbrellas and different cultural backgrounds. It doesn't really have to be, it has to be specific. And so to me, what lives inside us, that gives us that spark of life, what gives us that breath of air, that's creator. Why, like Megan said, we call it universes because it's everywhere. Or we just want to be respectful to other beliefs. Um, yeah, like just like some people can believe in, in like whatever the names are in different religions, we just don't want to mention them out of respect. They can be the only God. How what Megan said is just so disrespectful, because the I am is what makes us be compassionate, kind, polite. smile to other people, that's the goodness in our heart. That's creator. And so it's not that we believe, no, we actually believe so much. We just want to be in communion as much as we can. That does not mean that we stopped making mistakes. That does not mean that. I wish, but it just means that we just want to be part of it more and more and more each time. So that's one of the misconceptions about spirituality. What else do you have or have you read, Megan?
I feel like another misconception is if you talk about like spirituality and a lot of times like mediumship, channeling, psychic abilities, it goes hand in hand with spirituality. So when people hear about that, the first thing is fear comes over. They instantly think of like the negative spirits, or I don't, negative is probably not the right word, but just like lower vibrational spirits. And it's like, you don't want to mess with that. Like, you're bringing that into your home. And I think it would be good to talk about that and how, what I guess what our beliefs are on it, how we protect ourselves, and why it's such a big misconception. Um, I would say for me, my experience with spirits coming to me has been nothing but beautiful. It has been very healing for people, getting messages. It's just if you could feel how like the warmth that I am feeling from spirit and the love, like so much unconditional love as a medium, a channeler, psychic, I can feel it. And it's not to say that there's not low vibrational energies because there are. Um, and that's why it's so important for myself to stay in a high vibration, to be a good person, to, have a good heart, to have compassion, to have kindness, to forgive. The more that I'm staying in this higher vibration, I don't really have to worry about lower vibrations coming into me or but it's not to say I'm immune for them by any means because I people just being in a bad mood is a low vibration and it could stick to you. So I think when people think of like these demons or, just really scary things that they see in movies, Um, that's probably the least of our worries. I mean, I think what we deal with more in the everyday life is really just being around other people that have a lower vibration because they're in a bad mood or they're not, being kind. They're not living a good, healthy lifestyle. And that can stick on us if we're around them. And there are ways to clear it. And I know personally, like yoga, I use like sage and clear the space. I do kundalini, I like breath work that helps like get the negative energy out of you and like raise it up and flow out. So there's definitely different ways. I call on all my friends. I get the archangels, Jesus, Mary, Joseph, God. I get them all in here helping me clear this space out and making sure my home is safe for my family. So, what's your take on it, Heidi?
Well, for me, I do understand because I also come from a Catholic background and then I switched religion. Well, it's kind of the same because I was in the Christian um, church. And so I do understand that concern. And we're grateful that you extend that concern to us. The way I see it is if you try to be in prayer, or if you are in prayer and you try to please God with the commandments. And I think you have no fear. Fear, you should steer away from fear. God doesn't want you to live in fear. That is not love. Your one aim should be to stay in the love vibration. Love means so many things, you know. It's just saying hi to a stranger or opening the door to someone when you yourself are not feeling well and you're going to the doctors, and then there comes this lady in a wheelchair will then run open the door. All these things will keep you in a good vibration, in a love vibration. And when you are in that, you don't have to really worry. But if I am going to go, say, like both of us, we're mediums, and someone invites me, and I'm not passing judgment to anybody who does that, to each their own, and they know their capacity. But I know within my own capacity, if someone invites me and tells me, hey, do you want to go ghost hunting? And since you're a medium, can you like, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that because I don't want to risk myself. For me, just as Megan is saying, I am more drawn to helping other people. I'm not choosing fame or greatness or anything of all those things, because no. And so I think that when you do things in love, then you're gonna stay in love. And one of my prayers is, and I say to God, whatever is not for you to be proud of me or happy, just take it from me. I don't want it. I want only the good things that you want for me and that will make you smile at me when you see me. And so I think when you do that, then you stay in grace with God. And so we do pray, um, and we do ask for help and guidance. And like Megan said, when I meditate and I channel, especially then, I don't channel intentionally. It just comes to me. And that's something everybody can do, everybody. But when we sit in that grace and that love, you just feel that overwhelming warmth everywhere around you. And who doesn't want to be like that or feeling that way? So I think, like everything in life, it depends what you do with it, how you do it, and with what intention. And that's what should matter, because even money can be so dangerous. It depends. Either you use it for good, or you use it just for, or you want it for greed. Everything in life is like that. Food is like that, everything. And so I think that the trick is to stay in the loving vibration of our creator.
Yeah, and actually that kind of leads me into the next misconception. So with, mediums, channelers, healers, psychics, we do have like morals to go by and a responsibility, and we don't take it lightly. Now, I know I can't speak for everybody that has these abilities, that works with people. Um, but I know, speaking for myself and for Heidi, we do have standards and morals that we go by. Heidi, I liked what you said about channeling. How did you word it? Like, I don't intentionally do it. It just kind of comes to me. And I think that's really good for our audience to know, because it's not like we're snooping and trying to tap into people and, using our abilities to gain information that we're not supposed to have. Um, that is no, that's a no-no. I would definitely never just, tap into somebody. Um, However, kind of just what Heidi said, messages will just drop into me. So it's never, it could be about somebody I know, but the reason it drops in is because spirit wants me to know, and it's not me like going after this information to learn something. So, yeah, we really are surrendering to spirit, and they're in charge of whatever messages they want to bring through to us. We can ask specific things, but it does not promise that we are going to get an answer. We truly get the messages that we are meant to get and that we're supposed to, pass on to people. Um, but yeah, Heidi, what's your take on it? Because I think there is a lot of misconceptions of people using these abilities for their just personal like nosiness or have you
Yeah.
heard that?
Well, one of the things that we have learned, especially with our mentor, Susan Gisman, is that you do not no harm, do no harm.
Right.
And so, yeah, you don't snoop either, because there's always the law, karma, which is another misconception. Karma
Yeah.
is neither good or bad. Karma is just the response of our behaviors. If we do good, we're gonna get good. If we do bad, we're gonna get bad in return. And so when we are snooping, um, then that's not going to bring anything good, because we haven't been granted permission directly from the person. And so without that, we can do nothing. Even if we want to help, we can't. People should have to ask us in order for us to be able to help, because we by no means are saviors. And I see that person, and then I'm gonna go tell her and save her. We really can't do that unless, I guess, it's our very close family member and we have this relationship with them. But we cannot just be doing that. Like, I cannot tap even with my own children. That's very disrespectful. I have to respect that they have their own sovereignty. And, whatever it's going on, it's between them and God. And so we have to respect that relationship. And so, yeah, we can just tap in everybody, and it's not like a lot of people say, and it's all these jokes, right? So why haven't you won the lottery? Because the funny thing about this gift, it's to help other people. It's not for our own benefit. That's just not. It's not for our own benefit. God does not give you things for selfish purposes, because God is love. And so, because He's love, it's for us to expand it and share it. And that's what I would say. It is a big misconception. We just cannot do that. And it's not for our own personal gain.
Mhm. Yeah, so the next I would say is the misconception of like maybe what a mediumship reading is. And I actually feel like times are
Oh,
changing, and a mediumship reading is not what it used to be. I think that in the past, it was all about like proving that spirit is there, and the sitter being like, you just had to prove to them that it is their loved one, and they would like keep questioning you and like anyways, times have changed. I think more people believe in, mediumship and psychic abilities, channeling. And so I don't think it's as much of like prove, prove, prove. So I'm not saying that evidence won't come through on a reading. That's definitely, we want you to know that it is your loved one and bring evidence through. But readings are so therapeutic, they are healing. It's not just like prove that my loved one, still exists, or, that they made it to heaven, or, things like that. I mean, they really can go deep, and the messages that spirit brings through, they are watching us every day, and they could tell you something that's happening in your life right now that you need, you're struggling with and you need advice. They are watching over you, and they can come through with that advice. Um, there's healing that happens. Like I have seen people have emotional blocks, and through channeling, like healing energy can come through and heal, these emotional blocks that people are holding on to and they don't even know it. There is so many different avenues that a reading can go. And I do feel like, I want to change that misconception of it's just for, the medium to sit there and just prove who's on the other side. Like, I actually, it's funny because my husband's like, why would somebody want a reading? Like, what's the purpose of just like saying, I have a man here and he's about this tall and like what is the point? And um and it is funny because like to me, I'm like, yeah, to me, it's more about the message that comes through because I have had the most beautiful messages, or even just for someone to know that their loved one is still watching over them because we can let them know like a current event that they've done and the loved one's saying like I was there, I didn't miss it. Like it just warms the heart and it's so touching. So it definitely is more than just describing, a person that's coming to us. It's so much deeper than that. What's your take on it, Heidi?
Well, I think that what we do with Megan is like we integrate everything that we have learned or the gifts that we have that everybody has, but it's just like some people are just not aware. We integrate all that in order to help people. Um, but it's not to glorify ourselves or act as the healer. The healing actually comes from other places. We're just like a channel, or we're just like you know, just I this is gonna sound awful, but maybe just a device that will help pass the energy, the good energy to the other person. But it's not because of us.
Right.
And so I think that another thing that's modern, what Megan was referring is like we have, or I have this idea that when I used to hear mediums as a child, I will immediately imagine a table levitating and people screaming and seances and all these dark and velvet curtains and all these theatrics in order for you to be like, whoa, or just look at it like something so unreachable to you. But in the reality, it's all within us and it's everyday people. You can like there's no need for, a crystal ball or, you know, I don't know what, whatever you guys want to imagine that it's when you connect to mediumship. It's really not like that. But it is true that there is a lot of people using the same gifts for um, just going further from true spirituality and making more of a profit than truly helping. And that does not mean that if people charge, that's bad. It's not bad because they have put their effort and there's an exchange of energies, if you will. And so, but when you do this for selfish purposes and you just after the money and you don't care about how people end up going after that meeting with you, yeah, that's when the problem is. And this is why there's a lot of people that don't believe or don't respect all these kind of spirituality. It's because it's just been misused. And the same with religions. A lot of people run away from religions. Why? Because they have had bad encounters with the religions leaders, and then they just don't want to go back. But is it the religion itself? I'm not a religious person by no means anymore. I just believe in one expanding love of God. Um, but this kind of misuse of power, knowledge, and hiding behind something that looks good to cause damage. It's what deter people from it. And spirituality has been one very misused one. But yeah, it's like Megan said, it's not a bad thing like a lot of people want to portray it to be. What do you think, Megan?
Yeah, it is so beautiful and just loving and everything about just spirituality, mediumship, channeling, psychic abilities, all of that. It's nothing in my eyes but good. It really is. And I get that people can misuse it. Um, and I think that's where you have to use your discernment. And we all have intuition, every single one of us. If you are called to do a mediumship reading or channeling session, or anything like that, or learn more about, spirituality, go with your gut instinct. We all have that ability. We all have the ability to tap in, hear something, and like get a feeling of, are these people, pulling my leg? Or are they, talking from the heart? And are they talking like truth? And I hope that you can listen to this and hear the passion and the love and the knowing that we have that this is really a good thing. It's a positive thing. It's nothing but helping and healing people, at least from us. We can't speak for everybody, but again, use your discernment and tap into it.
I would like to say what spirituality can look different for different people. So it's not one size fits all. I think it depends on how the person sees the world, how their experience in this world has been. And it can, like I said, be different for different people. But for me and my personal experience, spirituality, it's summarized in closing my eyes, going within, and imagine myself one with God, because that's how we are all connected. And to me, that's spirituality. It's not, yes, I do have my crystals. I love them, but I love them even before I was spiritual. I've always admired them, part of nature. I do read my books. I do have my sage and all those things. But is that spirituality to me? Not really, no. Spirituality for me could be in my car alone. Spirituality for me could be me sitting in the morning or praying before opening my eyes. And that's spirituality to me, or giving a hug to my children. That's spirituality to me. And then the rest, like psychic gifts or channeling, it's just, for me, it's just like something that we can all access. But is that a spirituality? No. Spirituality is what comes out of that. Like, we're going to say this over and over again, and we don't want to get you bored, but it's the sharing of the love. That's spirituality. It doesn't mean that anything to us. If we would have all these gifts, we're doing nothing about it to help other people. If what's the point, or it's like if we had this huge house with a pool and a lake and everything, it's accessible, but nobody comes to see us, or we have no one to share it with. Then what's the point? Then might as well live alone in a small apartment, less to clean, right? And so that's spirituality to me. What's spirituality to you, Megan?
Spirituality to me is, I feel like just believing that we all are, it is just one, God. It is one source, and we all have a piece of that in our hearts, and that it's unconditional love. It's no judging. It's accepting everybody for who they are. And it's knowing that spirit is not that far away, that we have so much guidance and love and support around us always, and and that there's no really like hierarchy necessarily. that we all have the ability to tap into this other side and to feel, our loved one's presence on the other side. Um, yeah, that's what spirituality is to me.
Yeah, and we also have to be very careful with which people we follow because there's been so many cases or like priests or pastors or spiritual leaders or gurus that have been, followed by so many, and then they prove to be just not what people thought they would be. And so that's why Megan was saying use your intuition, use your gut feeling. Like I'm sure by now, if you're listening to this podcast, most probably you have heard that it's been proven scientifically that the gut has neurons, that the heart has neurons. And so when we understand that and we feel prevention or that that's why you say I have a gut feeling. It's because it's preventing you to doing something. So if you're not, don't follow anybody just because everybody else is following. Question them, question everything. Because unfortunately in this world, everybody wants you to believe things. And you gotta be very mindful because you're not just playing, you're giving your life, your beliefs, and your connection to these people. So you gotta be very mindful. Another misconception that I think you gotta be very careful is when you go to a psychic for a reading about your future. And let me tell you, they can give you a timeline, but I can't do that without being a psychic and just can't imagine anything and tell you, yeah, you're going to do this, this, and that. Do I fully believe? I think in the possibilities, yes, they can see or we can see possibilities, definitely. But that doesn't mean that that's only one future possibility for you. It could be anything, really. So to me, the main misconception is that someone else can tell you what's going to happen with your own life. For crying out loud, is your life. You do with your life what it's best for you. You don't need a psychic. You don't.
Yeah.
And so I think that to me is believing in yourself, believing in source. He's got your back or she has your back. And so just trust. That to me is huge. And you will see, well, you're putting yourself out of a job. Well, if it that's the reality is so be it, but it's about being honest. We can help, we can listen, we can give you a timeline and try to help you and decide. But sometimes it's like a therapist. We're gonna listen to you too, and you will have the answer within you. Why? Because everything you need is already inside you. What do you think, Megan?
I like that you brought up this point. Yeah, what a great reminder. We all have free will in this world. Like, there is no guarantees of what is going to happen. If you get a reading that is, telling you one kind of path that's going to happen in your life, just know you have free will to follow through on that or not. And I've actually seen that firsthand. Psychic told my husband something, and it was really funny because I had just kind of started developing my mediumship abilities or like acknowledging that I had them. And so I'm thinking, I'm just a baby medium. What do I know? But I walked away from that knowing. I knew. And I kept telling my husband, I'm letting you know we have free will. So even though she said this to you, at the end of the day, you have free will. So I'm like, because it was something like very positive and he was all excited. Like he just, had it like, oh, she told me this and I am golden. I don't got to do anything. And I think that really slapped him in the face. Like, and I warned him. I let him know. And but yeah, I had this feeling afterwards. Now, that psychic medium went to, she was fantastic. She was really good. Like her mediumship abilities were spot on. And her psychic abilities were as well. However, just like Heidi, you mentioned, like it is one path. There's so many paths that we can take on this life. Like we have free will. Can do whatever we want. And so even though as a psychic, we can tap into it and we could even have a vision. Like, there's no doubt that that lady had a vision of my husband, but I know that there's multiple paths that people can take. And I think that that's not explained enough in psychic readings and just kind of like reminding people that they have free will to do what they want. I think psychic readings can be great. I think they can be extremely helpful because we can tap into maybe what's holding you back and give you, like advice can kind of flow through. Um, but yeah, I get people that will ask me specific things like, so am I supposed to move? Like what exact city? And I hate that. I And again, it's not even necessarily like, I mean, I'll ask spirit to send it to me. But again, because I know the free will that we have, I hate going like that specific. Um, Anyways, so that's just my own but I let them know. I explain. So say sometimes, maybe the city did come to me, I will tell them. I'll say this city came to me. I do see a move in your future. Like but however, you have free will and like you have the choice to go there or not. But I do, I will let them know. I'm not making it up or anything. I would, if it truly comes through, I will tell them. But I also let them know they have free will on specific things like that. Like I just feel like anyways.
It's because it's like strands, right? Strands of different timelines. And
hmm
some just, I mean, I'm not saying it's exactly like this, but the way I could describe it best is some of those timelines will shine the strongest. And those are the timelines that we can see and we can tell the possibilities. For example, my daughter, I always knew that my oldest daughter was going to have 3 children. And every time I knew, okay, this is going to be a boy, and then the other boy before she even knew it. And then my youngest daughter, who's very psychic too, she was like, I dreamt it was a girl with blue eyes. And I knew it was a girl. I just didn't know the eye color, but it ended up being like my daughter said. And then I said, well, she's not like she's gonna have 3 kids. And then after the baby was born, before the youngest baby was born, she said, okay, no more children. And so it ended up being 3 kids. So was I right? Yes, but that does not mean and that she couldn't have chosen differently. And I also remember my mom, who was very psychic, told me, you're going to end up living in the United States and you're going to leave me. And she was so sad when she told me that. Mind you, I was like 18 back then. And, um, and then I got married in my home country. And I was like, oh, yeah, that didn't happen. So I don't think that was what my mom saw. But then I got divorced and remarried and moved here. And so, so yeah, we can see the strongest timelines and help you. But at the end, it's your decision. You can always, like Megan said, right? Which city should I move? Well, we can see something, but that doesn't mean you have to do it. Or you're going
Right.
to be like so heartbroken if, that's not what you wanted to hear. You can always do what you want to do.
Yeah.
So.
There's so many times that I'm like, I knew that was gonna happen. My husband's like, why don't you say something? I'm like, I think I was hoping you were gonna pick a different path. So yeah, we definitely can see the future. It's real. But again, we have free will. So well, I think that sums up, a lot of the main topics and misconceptions that people ask us. I hope you all learned something from this conversation today, and we really appreciate you tuning in and taking the time to listen.
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. And if you feel extra generous today, won't you, if you're listening on YouTube, would you be so kind and generous to leave us a comment, a like, and subscribe to our channel? And if you're listening to podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being part of today's Quantum Quest. We hope this conversation awakens something new within you, a spark, a question, a remembering. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, keep exploring with an open mind and an open heart. Bye for now.